In this video, I'll call it a part 2 of the episode. It's a continuation of a video I did relating to events that are coming to Israel very shortly. I don't know the time, but I can say the events are coming very shortly. In this video, I'm also saying that events are coming to the United States, and it's based upon a vision that I had on October the 4th, 2020. On October the 4th, 2020, I had an envelope in a vision, and there was an address on the envelope. I don't remember the exact address, but I remember very well that the words Ezekiel chapter 4 were written on the back of the envelope. I didn't know what it meant, so after the vision, I read the book of Ezekiel chapter 4, and you recall that in chapter 4 of the book of Ezekiel, the Lord asked the prophet Ezekiel to do certain things. Ezekiel should sleep on his right side for 390 days, every day representing a year of the years of iniquity of Israel. He was also asked to sleep on his left side for 40 days. And when he did that, it was not long after that, Israel, of course, the city of Jerusalem was invaded by King Nebuchadnezzar. The prophet was also asked to shave his head and his beard, and he was asked to divide the shaving into 3. For a third part, he was asked to burn it. The third part, he was asked to cut it with a sword, and the third part, he was asked to scatter it in the wind. All these things were symbolic representation of the coming famine, the coming judgment. I believe that the vision that I had on October the 4th, 2020, involving Ezekiel chapter 4, also relates to the United States. I've already done a video relating it to Israel. I'm now relating the event also to the United States, and I believe that famine will be coming to the United States. I also believe that judgment will come to the United States in terms of judgment of the sword, and I also believe that as a result, people will be scattered, whether scattering around, whether it's an exile or whatever. If you look at Ezekiel chapter 5, the prophet Ezekiel, in Ezekiel chapter 5 verse 14, says that the nation of Israel will be a waste and a reproach. If we relate it to the United States, then we can also say that the United States will be a waste and a reproach. If you look at Ezekiel chapter 5 verse 15, the Lord is also saying that Israel will be a reproach and a taunt. If you relate it to the United States, it also means that the United States will be a reproach and a taunt. If people are taunting you, it means people are mocking you, people are laughing at you. Strangely, the last or the first presidential election in 2020 was not good. The first debate between President Trump and Vice President Biden was not good, and people all over the United States and even outside the United States realized that, and Iran and other nations were taunting the United States. That is the beginning. but worse things are happening. The elections are coming, and at this point, of both the candidates, Mr. Biden and Mr. Trump, they've stated that, of course, they will not, accept the results of the election. They will not concede the elections. It means that they will carefully examine the results before they make any concessions. The President Trump is also saying there wouldn't be any transition, there will be continuation. He has preemptively delegitimized the voting system in the United States. So I can see that the elections are not going to be easy. If I also add a vision I had about Russia's attack of the United States, and if I add a vision that I also had earlier about American flag being caught in fire after I saw it coming from the sun, these are all bad things that potentially can come in the United States. So by this video, I'm not setting any date, but I'm saying that apocalyptic events are coming to the United States, including famine, including the sword, and also people being scattered or going to an exile. I've already made other video in which I state that the United States, I believe, is the Babylon spoken of in the book of Revelation. So let's look at what the prophet Ezekiel said in Ezekiel chapter 5 verse 17. This is the Lord saying, "So I will seek upon you famine and evil beasts, and they shall bereave thee, and pestilence and blood shall pass through thee, and I will bring the sword upon thee. I, the Lord, have spoken it." This is Ezekiel chapter 5 verse 17. And I relate that to the United States. And this is also consistent with a vision that an American pastor has had, Pastor Dana Coverstone, about apocalyptic events coming to the United States. You remember during the time of the prophet Ezekiel, immediately he did those things that God asked him to do, shaving his head and scattering it, and drawing an outline of the city of Jerusalem, and showing that that city is going to be invaded. Not long after that, the city of Jerusalem was attacked by King Nebuchadnezzar. Pastor Donna Coverstone has talked about China and Russia potential attack in the United States. So these things are not good, and all the saints must pray for these events to be averted. But if you look at Ezekiel chapter 5 verse 17, the Lord is saying, "I, the Lord, have spoken." So I believe that the Lord has spoken, and I believe that is God's judgment coming to the United States. Some people believe that when the president of the U.S., President Trump, signed the so-called Abraham Accord between Israel and the Arab neighbors, Bahrain and United Arab Emirates, he was dividing Jewish land and giving to Arabs. And so God will judge the United States for that. I also believe that the judgment of the United States is long. We have to go back to Genesis 15, verse 13 to 14, where the Lord said that the descendants of Abraham will be scattered to a foreign nation, and for 400 years, and after the 400 years, the nation that scattered them will be judged. I've always consistently believed that the slavery and the slave trade that went on in the United States lasted for 400 years. It lasted for 400 years. If you calculate the year 1619 to 2019, the 400 years has passed. And so the year 2020 is a year of judgment. Anytime from now, there is judgment that is going to happen in the United States. So in this video is a vision about Ezekiel chapter 4. Ezekiel chapter 4 is a judgment on Israel. And when I saw this vision about Ezekiel chapter 4, I believe that it relates not only to Israel but also to the United States. That's why I'm making this video, that judgment is coming to the United States. If you have not accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior, today is the day for you to do so. Tomorrow will be too late. This is Messiah Revelation Ministry. Thank you for this message.